Hello, hello. Oh, in fact, could I get hellos out of, how about just when someone, once you join, once you're like conscious and once you can hear me, maybe just say hello or turn on your video for a second and say hello or wave or something just to be human. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hello. Good morning. That works too. Excellent.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Good to see you, Molly. Good to see you. Jean-Pierre, I think. Wait, I'm trying to be good. I appreciate these chats. Awesome. Hello, Alyssa. Hello, awesome. Hello. Okay, we have a, I'm not going to say hello to everybody. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. Say good morning. Good morning. Just trying to break through the wall here. Right. Okay. Not trying to embarrass. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. And we are recording. Oh, by the way, and hello, hello. And hopefully you can hear me. I think I can hear you. I did not post anything on YouTube yet, just because by accident, well, first of all, we didn't really do a lot of material or something, but I will even post the first day. I haven't yet because accidentally this 203 class and the 204 class ran into each other. They ran without interruption accidentally. So the two recordings got bought together, and I don't think there's a lot of like exam material or anything, but if you looked, it's not there yet. There's nothing on YouTube yet, but this will be.
That
Um,
because I stuck around too long last time?
Sorry, what?
Was that because I stuck around too long last time?
No, actually, no. To be honest, it was more because I think I accidentally let in someone that I didn't realize was from the next class, and I think it was Heaven. It wasn't you. I mean, that is funny, but no, it wasn't. And it's not a problem. It did throw me off guard. It's never happened before, but it wasn't a problem. It just, but therefore I haven't put up any recordings yet. But I don't think there's anything in the recording yet that anybody would like, any of you would want to replay for an exam or something like that. But I will put it up. But one question I wanted to ask everybody while we're all coming in is, did you see, when I tried to fix one little thing by a suggestion of someone in another class, I didn't think to do this. Did you see in your Google Stream or Google Classroom or whatever, that hopefully the Zoom link and the YouTube link, but primarily the Zoom link is easier to find now? I hope, I think, I'm hoping, and if not, I'm open to any more suggestions. Oh, you saw that. Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Because I'm open to any further. Oh, one other suggestion actually someone gave me from another class was, if you have, I guess this summer it came out, if you use Google Chrome and you care about these things, like there's a thing called, there's a Google Chrome utility, or whatever you call it, like a web,
Extension?
yeah, an extension. Thank you. Exactly. There's a Chrome extension called Zoom Utils, which this may be totally obvious to many of you, but you may not know it. Some of you, I didn't know. There's something called Zoom Utils. You can get just a regular Chrome extension, which then sort of enables you to put your classes in with easy, fast Zoom links. So that was a recommendation someone gave me, and I'm passing it along. But also, hopefully, I made it easier for you guys to find the Zoom link to this in your Google Classroom. Just because I'm just bringing this up because we're still all in quarantine for a while, as you know. Like, the sun is not going to shine this semester on us, and so I know, as a dad and as a person, like, I can't stand any recurring Zoom meeting that I'm supposed to go to that every week happens, and that every week I have to re-scramble and re-put in the freaking IDs. I don't understand why it isn't easier. So anything I can do to make it easier to find your Zoom link, let me know. But I'm trying to do them. And the same thing with the YouTube, even though we haven't used it yet. All right, so that's that. Is there anybody in this room right now who has not been able to join the Google Classroom? Like, it is, you totally need to be in the Google Classroom, like, to get a grade in the class. I won't know who you are at grade time if you're not. So if you're hearing me right now and you're here right now, but if it's embarrassing, whatever, like, please put it in the private chat. Tell me if somehow you're not in the Google Classroom, or if you're even not sure, because I'm going to go on the assumption that, like, we're good with it. In fact, I'll go a step further. Hopefully, if you are in the Google Classroom, you saw I did put a bunch of stuff in there like last night. It might have scared some of you at first too. It looks like a whole bunch of homework I put. Excuse me, I did, in fact, put in a whole bunch of homework. Let me start. And one of those homework sheets technically did, I think, even say that it was due today. I mean, and technically we can say that. None of that was meant to frighten anybody. And in fact, I had, I had even suggested on Monday, I think, that if I got the homework to you late, then, like, don't stress it if it's not all done by today. And that remains true. Like, and anything else I put in your Google Stream, I do want you to have, and I want to start talking about today. But certainly nothing else was, you were not expected to do anything with any of it as yet, really. So that said, I want to make sure, like, can I get electronic show of hands or feedback or something? Did you all get a whole bunch of, did you get a bunch of homeworks and stuff in your, and a syllabus in particular? Yes. Okay. Well, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. 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 Awesome. 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 Okay. And again, here we, and this is all just to try to make this as human as possible. If any of you are hearing me right now, or, but maybe you didn't, but you haven't checked yet, or you're not sure, or you maybe, primarily what I'm talking about that you've gotten is something called a syllabus. And again, whether you look through it or not, I just want to make sure you have it. You got something called a syllabus, and you got like 3 homeworks or something, one called number line, one called average speed, and one called train of thought, I believe. And one of them, the one called number line, is the one that's in principle due today. Like, so again, I'm just making sure you all have it. If anybody is hearing me but doesn't have it for whatever reason, please let me know, like in the chat or in the private chat, whatever. But assuming you all have it, number line is going to be due today, in the sense that I believe if we do class correctly today, it'll be kind of like Monday, where we're going to sort of do it to get, like, some of you may have already started it, which is great. I haven't even looked. Maybe even some of you handed in, which is even more terrific. But we're going to sort of talk through it or give you a chance to do it now. And ideally, you will all have handed it in by the end of class today. Like, I think we could probably get through most of it today. And if not, just you'll finish it up and like try to turn it in tonight or something. Like, so that one we're sort of to get an idea of how to do homework together. And then from then on, you know, then the next one is due Monday, and the one after that is due Wednesday. And the real way homework, I want to talk more and more about exactly how homework works, how the grading of it works. Like, technically, this is all in the syllabus document that I did put in there, but it's sort of easier to just see these things in the flow and in practice. So the main thing with homework that I want to say right now is, the whole idea of homework is so that there's always a next thing for you to do, like that, you know, the next place that the course is going. And we always want you to be thinking in one way, one step ahead of me. That is, that you know what problem is coming, you've thought about it, maybe you're confused, maybe you don't have a right answer yet, or maybe you do have an answer, but it's wrong, or blah, blah. But the point is that you've always thought a little bit ahead of whatever the next problem is. And then we talk through it in class and stuff. Whatever is due is the next thing that's due. Like, your next homework assignment that's due is whatever one you haven't done yet. Like, that's a long way of saying, in part, I do take homeworks late. I much rather you take homework seriously than take the precise deadlines themselves overly seriously. That's as honest as I can say that. At a certain point, certainly, maybe some people can get less points on homework than others if they take way too long to turn it in. But really, what you're just trying to always be doing is doing the next item of homework and then turning it in. And you watch the pace at, I'm saying to all of you right now, we're going over homeworks in class after they're assigned. Like, it's not like what you'll see, but you try something, then we go over it in class, and you'll always have a chance to redo, or always have a chance to hand in again if you really think you're embarrassed by something you handed in before. We're always going to judge you. I want to always judge you by your best, and I'll be more specific about that soon. But therefore, you'll see sometimes we'll take a while to go over some homework. People will have good questions. We'll spend time on them. If we spend all of today on homework 1, and then Monday we barely get through homework 2, then no matter what the assignment sheets and no matter what Google Classroom says, if you know we're not up to homework 3 yet, then don't stress about being late on homework 3 or homework 4 or something. Like, I'm just saying, it's going to be a dialogue. So you're never more responsible for whatever's next in the class, but just you're responsible for whatever's next. Okay, long way of saying, we're going to start dealing with the number line assignment together here right now. There was one more thing I was going to say about grading, though. Well, yeah, I mean, we're basically going to turn to this number line assignment. And I'm going to give you all time to think about it quietly for a couple minutes, just so we say, and then we'll start doing it together. But are there any questions at all about either the Zoom link or how the class works in general, or when it meets, or when lab is, or like anything administrative, or any enrollment problem, any issues at all that are holding anybody up? Or we're good?
Yes, I have a quick question.
Yes, please, yes. Okay.
Okay, so it's just so it is synchronous. So we meet twice a
Oh,
week, right?
oh, yes, good point. Yes. No, that's a very fair question. That's a really fair question, actually. Maybe I haven't been explicit about that. And there's some confusing things about that. Yes, to everybody, it is. And by the way, as we go further too, I just want to say also, like, and I will give points for this, and I'm just going to continue to explain everything as we go to kind of to keep people hooked in. So, but it is all in the syllabus if you want to read through that boring document. But when we talk about class participation, stuff like that, like say, so Ashley just had a good question, totally fair question, right? And now I want to spend time answering it because I'd rather say something based on what you all are caring about than just what's in my head. But I'll tell you this, if Ashley asks a question like that, and even if for a moment it flits through one of your minds to be like, oh yeah, I was wondering that too. Or like, oh yeah, like I wonder what he's going to do with this one. Like if you literally just turn on your mic and go, oh yeah, or if you just put in the chat like, yeah, I second that question, that enormously helps me and helps the rest of the class too. Like you guys are, I'm not trying to enforce like parliamentary rules of procedure, but basically I'm saying there's no need for you guys to keep mute on except to hide feedback and background distracting noises. But like I would love when someone asks a question, it's so helpful to me already that they're even showing they're alive. But then if another person even like, oh yeah, that's a good question, I want to hear that too, then I feel like I'm actually talking to a group who's actually benefiting from this time. Whereas otherwise, I'm just like spinning my wheels in the dark here, right? So I appreciate that question. I want to answer it. But let me encourage you all, if you're ever looking for like class participation points, just literally writing yes in the chat or like going like, yeah, would totally count. I mean, because it would also help that person feel like they didn't just make an ass of themselves asking something. Anyway, now I'm going to forget the question. Synchronous. Yes, this class is synchronous. We do meet Monday and Wednesday together as a group in this Zoom channel, at this Zoom channel, as well as you also have lab, and whatever he says about lab, whatever Wu says about lab goes, although feel free to ask me if there's any confusion. But that's a really important question that this is synchronous or not, because right, some classes very much are not. This very much is. And that might even be confusing because I know on CUNY First, it always says on your schedules, I mean, it always did this even before COVID. It always calls one of these days LEC, L-E-C, and the other one of the days REC, REC, like for lecture and recitation. That's very confusing and sort of wrong for any of you guys who have been in the John Jay Science program for a while. You're used, like, that's confusing because it makes it look like our Wednesday day is somehow different, is somehow a recitation. And in all your other science classes where you have recitations are different. Like they might be a different instructor, they might be in a different room, they might be like a whole different, like just going over homework problems or whatever. All of which I respect. But the truth of the matter is in physics, we don't actually have that extra recitation. We like to think all of our classes are kind of like recitation, but whatever, we actually just don't have. I'm talking to everybody now, like this is just a good question. We actually in physics, I want to change this, but I haven't succeeded yet. We don't actually have an extra special time of recitation. We just have the standard, 2 lecture, 2 hour and a half, 2 hour and 50, 2 75-minute lecture periods a week. One of them is called recitation by the registrar so that they can feel like they gave us a recitation. But honestly, it's just the 2 lecture periods, both with me, both in this Zoom room. And yes, synchronous. Here's why I'm spending so much time on this very fair question. The good and the bad of this physics class is it totally is synchronous. Like I'm hoping that we get a lot done together as a group, that we actually figure a lot of things out and do these problems. That's why I'm sort of loose about the homework deadlines and why I'm going to give you a lot of points for class participation. What used to be a lot of points for homework, it's one and the same still, because hopefully you guys are going to get a lot of homework done here with me. It's going to be like a kind of recitation both days, hopefully, as best as we can. What I want is for you to have to stress as little as possible between these 2 classes. And same with me. I don't want to spend a ton of time very precisely grading your stuff outside of class, to be honest. I'd like us all to get a lot done here. Which is hard on Zoom, I know. And if I'm losing anybody right now and I'm like not even making eye contact, I apologize. I find the Zoom thing very hard, but I also find class, the other alternative is again, I'm going off on this question because I think it's valid. I mean, hopefully I've answered, like, yeah, this is a synchronous class, but I'm going to defend it now. Why? And for any of you that this is like a big bummer, you might also want to tell me in the private chat or tell me if you have different expectations. We can try to work with that. But where I'm telling all you guys is I find it hard enough to live in, like, in quarantine and in a Zoom world, and hard, like, this is a poor substitute for school. For me, I can get through school in much of the time basically because of school energy, of like feeding off other people. That's how I got through the hard physics in my time as a student. And that's what I enjoy about teaching classes. This stuff is a drag. So I want to make this time as human as we can. Therefore, like, the more anybody is here and shows their participation here, and right now I'm making it hard because I'm just talking. So what could you really do? But I'll tell you in a second, the more we can all be here in this hour and 15 minutes twice a week, the easier it will be for all of you kind of to walk away having spent your time valuably, I think, and to walk away with an A with intensity, but not with stress like that. And I'm dead serious about all that. If that makes any sense to anybody. Like, I'm not saying you're not going to have exams and homework, but yeah, this is synchronous. I'm going to wait, I'm going to pause on that and see if there's questions. Let me just look in the chat and see if there's questions or anything. I can I can make it more worth your while to, new chat. Where is it? Okay, cool. Oh, and if some of you are saying you finished it, if some of you already did that first homework, great too. Because here's the other thing, like, okay, wait, I'm going to pause for right now. I'm going to pause for 1 second and put one more thing in your stream. Bear with me for a second. You can talk amongst yourselves. You can chat amongst yourselves. For 1 second, I want to put one thing in the stream that hopefully will further address my philosophy or like my expectations of you in this class. So bear with me for a second. But again, feel free to talk amongst yourselves or smoke them if you got them, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Hold on.
Professor Yaverbaum?
Yes.
No, I just wanted to say something about you were talking while we're just sort of sitting here with dead silence a little bit. I figured I'd say something. You said earlier about how we should try and make this as human as possible. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just wanted to sort of like talk about this a little bit. Like, I'm an upper senior, and I'm not even a science major, which is kind of funny. But I'm actually not, which sounds weird. But I figured I'd bring that up because, like, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted to say something about that, but then I forgot what it was. I just wanted to say it is kind of a subject where you do need human feedback.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Yes, I think that's right. You're also welcome to say, if you wanted to say something about how this actually might not work for you because you're an upper level.
No, that's actually not the point. I mean, this was actually working very well for me. It's just, I figured I'd bring that up because like it was kind of weird yesterday with in lab where he asked if we were all science majors. I was the only one who I think said no.
Oh yeah, well I am glad you're saying this and that you're saying it in front of everybody. That is interesting and something unusual that you're not. Oh, sorry, say it again.
No, because I just said like it's a different experience for me, honestly. That's how honestly I took this as an elective because why not?
Well, that you are to be that is greatly to your credit. That is very unusual. I mean, good for you. That is certainly a surprising choice. I mean, I'm happy to have you here. Very few people can make that claim.
But I took AP Calculus in high school, and now I'm taking Calculus 2 and this class now.
Oh, awesome. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, well, hopefully this will work. No, and I appreciate what you're saying. I'm going to take 1 minute to think. I want to put this document out for you, but no, I appreciate that. And anybody else is welcome to chime in on this. I mean, seriously, I do want to teach you guys this material, and I can get, there's also we all have Google, and we all have, if we ever get, this is to everybody, I'm saying this, say we're getting into the material, which we will, of course, and it'll seem as much as it can like a regular class at times, but anytime we get cut off or we run out of time, of course, I can always send everybody the relevant document to read or to solve problems on their own. I mean, the document interchange is the part that we can all do in and out of viruses and with and without computers. I just feel like the one, whatever we can do here to try to soften that experience and add some, well, I guess you get, so I appreciate. I'm sorry, because I'm looking at the document right now. Could you tell me your name again? Who you were just talking? Sorry, who was?
It was me, Raymond.
Right, okay, right. I'm sorry. I should have.
I typed it in the chat.
Oh, right. Okay, now I see. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, I see. Okay, and now bear with me for a second, because now I'm not looking at, because I just want to put out this document for everybody so everybody could see what I'm saying about the current thing. Okay.
Professor, so when we do the corrections here, do we need to upload like a separate document, or do we need to take down what we just uploaded and then re-upload the correct answers, or what do we do?
That is a great question also. That's a terrific question. Yes, if and whenever anybody feels like they correct something or update it, my preference would be that you leave whatever you already did and upload the new. If the system doesn't let you, then you can remove the old, but my preference would be that you just keep uploading the new, because that's my preference. Partly that's because, and look, and you're going to see this, I'm going to send this to everybody. The reason it's best to send me as many drafts, if you do work, I'd love to see that you're doing that work. If someone did a homework, and especially they handed it in early, but then I go over it or some other people didn't hand it in early, or that person more likely just thought they were just doing the right thing and just handed it on time. And then I come into class like maybe today and I'm like, oh, if you didn't hand it in yet, all of you guys, you're okay, it's okay. Well, that person who just actually did hand it in, they might be thinking, well, what's this? I mean, I worked at 2 o'clock in the morning to do this, and now he's giving like a freebie to the rest of the class. What was the point of all my extra effort? But the good news is that person still hands in their homework. It totally says in Google to me that person did hand it in way before everybody else. And again, not that this is a competition, right? Remember, there isn't a limited number of A's or something to go around, but still, to the extent that we all want to be rewarded and credited for what we do in life, like, so that person who did stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning and then did hand in her homework before everybody else, well, guess what? There it is on my desk. I see that from Google. I say, oh, that's a cool that's cool that she did it. Then we go over it in class. Now I'm like giving answers away practically, it might seem like, or I'm helping everybody. Now everybody's like putting down stuff, handing in their homework. I'm being nice about everybody. But that person's like, wait, and I handed it in early, and because I actually did it myself, I got the answers wrong. So that person totally can now correct their answers too, like everybody else. They can hand in the next one. And guess what? Now in their folder, like, it's clear that the whole story is clear, that they're a super diligent person who's ahead of the game, and then is also thorough enough and honest enough to correct their answers. And all I'm trying to say to everybody, and I don't mean this sarcastically at all. Like, this is my attitude. This is what I want the attitude to be, is that the more you're ahead and the more you're like doing the right thing, the cool thing to me about Google Classroom, or about this like kind of portal system, whatever it is, the more you're doing, the more you can just let me know. Like, everything you do, you just pop in a portal, and then I'm seeing that you're doing that stuff. And if on top of that, I'm seeing that you're honest enough to correct your own work, which is what this all should be about. And so then you're putting in updated versions. All you have is a stream of work that's twice as long as anybody else in the class. So you're duly rewarded. And I mean, whoever I'm talking to. And then everybody else too, I'm saying there's compassion, there's a safety net. We're not in a competition. Like, do the right thing, do your homework as you can at your pace. And and I will always, and this is the part that the document I want to send out right now. The idea is for everybody to always assume at all times that what we're looking for is to put our best foot forward to be judged by our best. That is, if you let me pause for one more second, I'm going to put out an assignment portal right now for exactly that purpose. Like at all times, you'll have the opportunity to direct my attention to where you think your best work of the moment is. It might be an exam that we've taken. It might be the most recent homework that you're like ahead on. It might be that you're not ahead on homework right now, but like 2 homeworks ago when you were on top of things, you like rocked a solution. I'm opening up a portal right now where just at all times you put in right there the thing you'd like to be, you'd like me to grade first in a sense, or look at first when I have to put a grade at the end of the semester. So bear with me for a second, but that's the portal I'm opening up right now. Again, just trying to reinforce, like, so yes, when you correct your homework, please put in your new corrections. Like any work you do, just give to me, and it just shows how much work you're doing. And any work you don't do, you're not being punished for, but just have something to show at the end of the day. So hold on a second, bear with me, everybody. Sorry. Okay, tell me if as of now or as of one moment, you should see something in your Google assignment stream that says something like a game, your best, and it should be for 100 points and it should be due never. Do you tell me when you see that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Molly. I totally appreciate it. And that's class participation points right there. Okay. So let me make this super clear because we're going to start like dealing with physics today. I don't want, we don't want to have like group therapy in 100% every day. Maybe we do. I don't know. But like that portal, if you look at it, hopefully it's sort of clear. From here on in, like at any given moment, even if the best thing you have going right now is one day that you participated and you wrote yes in the chat stream or whatever, like, or more, yeah, if that's your best to the moment, like feel free to put a PDF of that or like of a note of that into that portal, and you can update what you're putting in there at all times. Like it will become more relevant as we've had more homeworks, and it'll become more relevant, like say once we get to an exam or something. But basically, I want you to know that at any given time, if you just picture me sitting down and having to look at grades or compute grades for something or submit them to CUNY first, like basically just the first thing that you should worry about is what's the first thing I want Yaverbaum to look at? Like, what would be the best way for him to see me as an A person? Like, is it my last exam? Like, I want him to see that, especially because I'm panicked about the final exam that's about to come up. Like, I think I'm going to trounce it. That's not even a word. Like, I want my midterm, like sitting there in that portal to like, and when he goes to do grades, he'll look at that first. Like, I want you guys to look at it that way. You tell me where to look first so that you have the best shot possible. And it goes both ways. That means if ever like, well, I think you get how it goes both ways, but that's what that portal's for. I think I've talked enough, or I think I want to say, some people did do number line and that's great. Maybe they should move on to the next, if they're comfortable with it. During this pause, they can get ahead and move to the next sheet, which is average speed. But for the rest of you, I'm going to shut up, and I just want to give you time to open up number line. Oh, and this is how homework is done as far as I'm concerned, like on fresh blank paper, like other kind of paper, whether you're doing it on the computer or you're writing down on a pad, or in a journal, whatever, on other paper, start trying to answer the questions to number line. Most of the early questions on that sheet, I mean, there's a bunch of questions and it gives you facts and definitions at first. The idea is it's not trying to condescend to you, but in principle, anything you have to do on that sheet should be answerable from the definitions it's giving you right there. I mean, that's the idea. So the first few questions may be totally obvious. You might get the answer right away in your mind. Still try to break it down into at least a step or two, like what flashed through your mind, or of justification. So I think most of you will be able to answer a lot of the questions fairly quickly. So sort of have at it, but we're going to regroup and start going over them in like 10 minutes. But And any questions at all while you're going, I first encourage you to just raise your, just say, I mean, without raising your hand, just say them. But, or if not, put in the chat for everybody, or if at worst, put in the private chat. But definitely, we're going to just do number line quietly now so we can all be on one page. And then we'll start talking about it. That makes, I'm going to look in the chat while you're, let's see what's going on. Great question. Thank you, Daniel. And great. Oh, that was a bit confusing. Sorry. Oh, wait, which? Oh, sorry. Wait, let me back up for a sec. Okay, these are good questions in the chat. First of all, separate sheets of pen. It can all be continuous, right? For the sheets. So my thing about sheets, what I mean is, it can be continuous, but I don't want anybody, I don't want you printing out these homework sheets and trying to write out answers on them. I mean, you can print them out. I don't care what you do with them. But when you do homework, it should be, when you're thinking physics, I just want to make sure that the piece of paper that you're writing on is originally blank. So then it could be a million or it could be continuous or whatever. Then, no matter how many pages it takes you to finish this homework, then I want it all as one PDF file. But right, it doesn't have to be one page per part or anything like that. I don't know if is that answering the question? Okay, cool, thank you. But then there's another question in the chat that I missed. Sorry, it says in the chat, I was going to ask that too. Yeah, that was a bit confusing, and I apologize, but I don't know if I ever did answer whatever was confusing. Did I? Or I mean, what was? Do you want to tell me what? Or
No, you answered it.
Oh, okay. All right, good. All right, cool. Okay. And I haven't even said, look, with homework, you're going to see every homework. It's like the participation portals. Every homework is worth 50 points. And you basically get 50 if you actually do the whole thing. If you clearly answer every question and show work. I mean, I have a little bit more rules than that. I'll explain a little bit more details. But basically, it's if you show that you've addressed every single question and show some work and box an answer, like make it clear where your answer is, then you can literally get 50 points for that homework, even if every one of your boxed answers is wrong. And that is a definite promise. I mean, and that goes on and on, but the whole idea of homework is doing it, and you get 50 points for doing it, especially thoroughly, completely, and honestly. Also, if I haven't made this clear, and this applies to right now, or, when you go home and you have this homework, you're not only allowed to, but you're encouraged to please help each other at all times with the homework, and you can go on the web and all that. This is all open source. This is all marketplace of ideas, like research institution. Like, we are not trying to fool each other into thinking that we made up physics. That's not the idea. We're trying to figure out physics. So you're supposed to help one another. There's no concept of cheating. Or there is infinite concept of cheating, whatever. So, okay, I don't know if that answers, but all right, so we're working on number line right now. Oh, wow. And I'm looking at it now. I want to I owe you all a group compliment. I'm sorry. Many people have turned this in, and I should have known that even before the class started. And that is totally recognized. Like 14 of you totally handed it in, and that's great. And then I apologize for boring you, and please move on to average speed for the moment. But those of you who are working on it now, that is cool too. I did send mixed signals on that, and like I'm just trying to say, everybody's. But I totally do see that 14 of you handed it in. That's great. And one of you turned in average speed. That's impressive. I'm just saying.
Professor Yaverbaum,
Yes,
I have a
hi.
question. I typed it in the chat, but I'm just gonna say it just in case you didn't see it.
Yes, no, I'm
Um,
looking at it right now, but no, please say it. Yes, I'm
okay,
looking
yeah,
at
it's just a random question. It doesn't pertain to anything now, but I wanted to know if you had the dates for the midterms and the final exam like finalized. I didn't see on the syllabus.
Okay, that is a very fair question. That is a definite, that is what we're here for. That is a very, very fair question. I'm smiling because it's such a fair question, and you'd think that I would have a fast answer for that. Okay, here is the most honest to everybody, and I'll try to put this, I'll try to put this in the syllabus or in the Google Classroom. So very fair question about when's the final exam, when's the midterm. And it is true, there is a final exam, there is a midterm. And I didn't write them anywhere. The final exam, I can tell you right now, and maybe somebody can look up right now if they want to, that would be helpful. Whenever, when classes end, then we always have a week of final exams, right? And we usually have actually, I mean, if this were non-COVID, then the physics final exam would be literally exactly in the official final exam schedule, wherever it's supposed to be according to John Jay. And so I would look it up right now and tell you, but I will tell you that in COVID, here's how we do it. You will have until the last day of exam period. You'll have until the last day. So if someone wants to look that up, they can, but you'll have till the last day of exam period to submit the take-home exam, the take-home final exam that you will have in this class. And the take-home exam will be posted somewhere around the last day of classes, or essentially right before exam period starts. So I'm not trying to be vague. Someone can look up right now if they want. That would be helpful when the John Jay, final exam period is for the spring. But I'm telling you all right now, since someone's asking, your final exam, believe it or not, you probably don't believe it, or you may think there's a trick. We'll talk about it when we get closer, but your final exam is going to be a take-home thing, and it'll be posted basically at the beginning of exam period, maybe the weekend before, and it'll be due back to me by the end of exam period, which then also means your grades will be posted at the last day, like when your grades will not be posted until the last minute that they're due the next Tuesday, but whatever. But that's the final exam. I don't know if that's, again, if someone wants to look up that date so we can all put it on our calendars, that'd be great. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me, but yes, the final exam is a take-home exam, which you'll have the entire exam period to do, or essentially. The midterm exam will also be take-home, believe it or not. We will talk about that more when we get closer. The midterm exam, we don't have scheduled, but since as long as someone's asking today on the second day, which is great, I can tell you that I can confer with Professor Wu this weekend, and on Monday when I come back, we can all as a class commit to the midterm date to put in our calendars. I'm perfectly happy to do it that way. In the past, the midterm date always ended up floating a little bit, but I'm happy to lock it down with you as a class on Monday. But let me talk to Professor Wu first. But that in both cases, again, as long as this is coming up now, I'm happy to talk about it. In both cases of the midterm exam and the final, you will get a practice exam. Now, I'm saying all this also hopefully to reduce surprises to everybody. I'm not saying this because I think anybody should be stressing about exams right now. I'm also not saying it to say that our exams are a joke. I like to think they're not a joke, and that you kind of have to know some physics by the time you take these exams. But for both exams, the midterm and the final, we give a practice exam in advance of that. I mean, we post a practice exam to you all, and we generally post solutions, not necessarily to every problem, but to a bunch of the problems. And we don't always post the solutions right at the same time, like we have you work on it first, but you always will have had a practice exam in your possession, and with either solutions or a review session or something before you take your actual exam. So by the time you take your take-home exam, midterm and final, the thing you're hopefully being challenged by is just physics material itself. It's not a guessing game as to what we're going to put on it or something like that. Like there's no guessing as to that. Like you'll know. So that's like a long speech, but does that? I'm happy to these kind of questions. If it makes it calmer for us to do physics, I'd like to get any of these kinds of things out of the way right now. I don't mean out of the way, but we can talk about all these things right now. In principle, like I put the syllabus in your I put the syllabus in your stream so you know I'm not BSing, basically. Like a syllabus to me is the contract. It says like, I really am promising this and you can hold me to it later on. You know, if you have to complain, like you can point, that's what the syllabus is for, but I don't expect people to like sit around and find it very entertaining to read a syllabus. Also, one thing our syllabus has not done lately, it used to before COVID, it's true that our syllabus does not really tell you dates and exactly what's going to happen when, which is unnerving to many of us. So I'm glad that this is being brought up. We can iron out dates on Monday. If anybody wants to just like right now pop in with exactly what the final exam dates are, that would be helpful. But Monday we can nail down when our midterm exam is. But that's how exams will work. They are take home and they do have practice exams like woven in before them. Does it make any, is there a reading schedule?
Yeah, that helps. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Now, is there a reading schedule? Oh, yes. Now, I was going to ask another question. Sorry. Oh, is there a reading schedule? Now, that's actually, no, there isn't. I mean, what there used to be and what there certainly is a list of the topics that we do, like the curriculum. And I think somewhere I can give you a list of where in the book those topics correspond. The truth is, or I can tell you as we go too, like right now, we are at chapter 2 of that book, the Holiday Resnick Walker textbook. The sad truth is, or the good or the bad news to anybody, that textbook that you're assigned to get for this class, that is the best textbook in my opinion for this class. It is the textbook that I've learned the most of this kind of physics from. But like you, I had like some of you perhaps, I had a very hard time learning anything the first time from a textbook. This class is not, our exams do not come from the textbook. Our homeworks mostly do not actually come from the textbook. The textbook readings are super helpful for sure, especially at any and all moments that that I'm not making sense or that Woo is not to you. You know, I mean, obviously we just talk the way we talk. So what the textbook is really good for any and all of you is to use as a resource. Like right now, the topic that we're all about to unfold with the number line sheet with the average speed, the topic that we're doing here is, and I'll write on the next board, the topic that we're all about to do. Okay, here we go. The textbook question is a very fair one. So here we go. Okay, for anybody who, and I think there's another question I'm going to, oh, very cool. Thank you, Camilla. Okay, I'm going to use that in a second. Thank you. That's super helpful. The text, where we are, the material that we're about to start is called One-Dimensional Kinematics. It can be found in chapter 2 of the text, the text by Holiday, Resnick, and Walker. That's what I mean by HRW. That text is a very good place to turn once you know what the topic is. And if you know, like, once I start doing these problems and you know what you're going to be tested on, whoever you are, often I don't make sense or my way of explaining something isn't helpful. The book has really good example problems to show and really good explanations and really good reading if you're good with reading textbooks. That is the best textbook out there for this class. That's why it's the one that's assigned. The truth is, to all of you, if you've spent, I don't want, it's a little late for me to be saying this, but if you've already spent a lot of money on that book, one thing I can tell you is we use the exact same book for Physics 204. We use other chapters in the same book. So one thing is you never have to buy the book again. And it is a very good book. If you spent a lot of money on it though, and can't get that money back, I do apologize, because the truth is that book is meant as a resource in this class for you to use, when and how you wish. And any of you can get any version you want of that book or any PDF or whatever. It wouldn't bother me at all. It's a reference. And, these days, obviously Khan Academy or like things like 3 blue, 1 brown and stuff like that are just as much a resource as anything else. So the last thing I could just say is so there's no required reading. The reading is optional to follow along. I won't require it. I could at any time tell anybody where they best could find what we're doing in the reading. And right now that would be chapter 2 in the book. but that's a fair question. Okay, so the academic calendar, let me just pull this up. Oh, final exams, May 19th. All right, so you could put in your calendar, I'll put in ours right now, I'll put in mine right now that, yeah, if final exams are May 19th to May 25th. I guess I'm turning this class, I guess I'm thinking of this class, it's like we're having a meeting now rather than a class, I guess. It's like a class meeting, just as boring as all meetings, but all right, May. So I'm saying that your final exam, excuse me, your final exam, okay, here we are, May 19th. Okay, you can, well, your final exam will be due. To be safe, let's say Monday, the 24th. Your physics final exam will be due Monday, the 24th. And we'll say, to be safe right now, I'm going to say, I mean, this may change, but just to be safe, we're going to say 5 p.m. on Monday, the 24th. I'm putting in my calendar too. And that means it'll be posted in advance of that. And then, before that, there'll be a practice exam post and stuff. So we'll talk about it as we get there, but that totally legitimate question. And I'm sort of pleased, actually happy to get it out of the way. Okay. Any other, so I'm at the moment, I'm just putting this in my calendar, so I'm not looking at the chat at the moment, but is there any other questions like that I could answer right now that would be helpful or clarifying? Is that okay? If not, I'm going to be quiet for a couple. I'm going to give you a couple more minutes just to work wherever you are, whether it's on number line or average speed. In fact, no, you know what? I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms by cracky. Yes, I know some of you hate them, some of you love them, some of us, no, nobody loves them. But I'm going to say, wait, we have it's 11. This goes till 12. Yeah, for just 10 minutes, I'm going to put you in random breakout rooms just to be working together wherever you are, whether it's in the middle of sheet number 1 or sheet number 2. I would suggest since you'll be in a random breakout room, trade phone numbers, whatever, like act like it's lab groups. But I would just suggest who's ever farthest along in that room, whoever happens to be the farthest along, like if they already did homework 1, I would suggest that what they do is then try to explain to whoever's the least far along, whoever's the most far along should try to explain to everybody the next thing that they're up to. It's to everybody's benefit. The truth is that the person who's farthest along will benefit the most from trying to explain what they're doing. They'll actually end up learning the most, but it will be good for other people too. But this is, we'll do this for 10 minutes and then we'll regroup, but just to get blood going. So unless there's questions that you want to stall me with, we're going to do. All right, so please, you'll get a thing. I hopefully many of you have done this before. Again, I know you don't love it necessarily, but just go to your break. Great, thank you. Awesome. Hello, Jennifer. Hello. Hello. All right. Hello, hello, hello. All right, you guys are actually joining. I appreciate it. Hello, good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so did that? Okay, so we got some people. Hello, welcome back. Excuse me. Okay. I want to hear what you we have about 15 minutes. Oh, I just lost. Did I want to hear what you guys have done so far, but why am I okay? I want to hear what you guys have done, but I want to put this in context too, especially if people are at different spots. And by the way, again, just you're going to keep going. Like when class is over today, then what is due Monday? Well, first you want to make sure to have done number line. Like hopefully most of you will get it in at least by the end of today. I think most of you have. So you move on to average speed. If you finish average speed and turn it in, then you could go to train of thought. And certainly by the time you get there, you should stop. I mean, that's plenty of work. But just kind of do things at your own pace right now. I'll tell you this, we're not going to get up to train of thought on Monday. That's for sure. So no one should kill themselves to get up to that by any means. We will go a little faster on Monday. We'll be getting straight into physics Monday. So I think we will have gotten through number line and well into average speed by Monday. So, you can just budget your time accordingly like that. Before we start going over this right now, I want to put this in context, like tell you why we're even doing these sheets or what they're about. So I'm going to just talk for a second. If I lose track of time, I think we have 15 minutes. If I lose track of time, anybody's welcome to give me a 5-minute signal anyhow, please do. All right, the topic that we're in right now is one-dimensional kinematics. This is like the welcome to physics topic, whether you've done physics before or not. Strictly speaking, kinematics means motion, and one dimension means within one line or axis of space. So strictly speaking, we begin the year in physics, or we begin our study of physics, by unpacking the meaning of motion back and forth within what is often also called, what some people will call, 1 degree of freedom. Like one axis represents one opportunity to make a choice, whether to go north or south, or east or west, or left or right, or forward or backward, or whatever. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. No problem. Cool. All right. Now we're gonna. So first of all, I'm saying everything we're doing about physics right now, like the number line assignment sheet is trying to focus our attention and say any question that we're asking, even if we're using familiar English words like distance or speed, like, and we are assuming that everybody kind of has a notion of motion even before this class. Yes, we're using common English words, but please know that until further notice, the only kind of motion we're analyzing is back and forth within one line. That's highly realistic, highly unrealistic, and highly simplified. It's very fair to ask, well, that's stupid. Like, this is what immediately turns off some people to physics, because it seems so, like in a textbook, it seems so not reality. Like, I'm asking you guys basically to picture the motion of, say, a mosquito on the edge of a meter stick or something like that, like a tiny creature that really cannot move off axis. Now, why would, if physics is concerned with such a highly optimized or idealized thing, like, why should we call ourselves a science and why should you care? The idea is not at all that we think that that is reality. It's that we think reality, if reality is more complex, we think reality is composed of multiple dimensions, right? Like, you're right, of course, if you're thinking, well, this is not going to be realistic, right? Because reality is composed of, let's say, probably, it seems, 3 spatial dimensions and 1 time dimension. But the thing is, the insight is that reality might be composed of 3 dimensions, but there's a reason that we call each one of those dimensions a dimension. There's a reason that we say there's 3 of them. The reason is that we think they're all the same somehow. Like, whatever a dimension is a dimension. And if you understand one, then you understand another one and another one. And you can understand, and multiple dimensions should just be multiple understandings of that same one thing. So what physics always tries to do, I'm just like warning you, like, again, welcome to physics. What we do is we take situations that we really do think are about the reality of space and time, and we break it down into its elemental parts, and we try to understand the parts. And then we figure if we have a way of putting back the parts together, then we get closer and closer to reality as we study. So in short, we're not going to do one-dimensional kinematics all semester. Of course, we start with 1 and then we build to 2, et cetera, et cetera. But like, that's how physics works, is we're always building from simple elements up. Second of all, kinematics means motion. Okay, so I'm saying, first of all, we're going to deal with 1. So from here on and from right now, whatever motion questions we're asking or problems we're solving are about things going back and forth within 1 line. There's enough to understand there before we even move on to a plane, which we will. But second of all, we're studying motion here. Like, your first homework assignment in the class all has to do with distance and displacement, and whether it was hard or easy, it was all about motion. Okay, that is the topic of the day, but let me be clear. That's always the topic in physics. What is physics? It's the science of motion. I want to make that super clear, because everybody has, because I love physics. I mean, biology is about life. Chemistry is about change, or perhaps in my heart of hearts, I think, well, chemistry is about elements, right? Material, the elements of matter. That's what chemistry is about. Biology is about building blocks of matter coming together and making life. These are both very exciting. Physics is about motion. Physics is specifically about 3 things. Okay, you could write this down. So these are notes for today, I guess. Yeah. Like, physics is really about 3 things. Well, it's about 1 thing, motion. But what does that mean? It's about stuff in time and space, or stuff in space and time. And I really want to emphasize this before we go any further, because here's one of the reasons I love physics, why physics, when it works and when it's easy, it's super easy, or when it's helpful and other hard things, it's super helpful. But when it's hard, it's hard. For this reason, physics is simple. Physics is not complex. Physics may be hard, because hard is the opposite of easy, and complex is the opposite of simple. They are different things. So let me make clear, like, complex means made of many parts. Biology is inherently complex. The study of biology is the study of complex things. I'm not saying whether biology is hard or easy. For some of you, it's hard. For some of you, it's easy. For me, it was hard. For Professor Walters, it was not hard. I mean, and Professor Wu, he's better at biology than I am, both of them. Whether it's hard or easy that's a value judgment, you know, that's like a personal thing. But what biology most certainly is complex. The study of biology. There's many, many, many details. Like you're studying systems, the digestive system, the respiratory system, the whatever, and each system has all these layers and all these bits of knowledge to know whether whether that's good or bad. That's complex. Physics is not complex. It can look complex. The symbols can look complex because math can look complex. But physics is about simplicity. Sometimes that makes it easy. Sometimes that makes it hard. But physics is about three things: stuff, by which I ultimately mean matter, I guess, but we'll get into that. But I ultimately mean mass, okay? Mass and space and time. And that's what physics is about. Like the MKS system, for example, kilograms, meters, seconds. That's our whole world in physics. To be one level more specific, I want to, so that you always know what all these questions are pointing to, or all the math is always pointing to. The one question that we're always asking in physics, and this is the last thing I'll say today, and we'll go back to the number line sheet. But the one question we're always one way or another asking in physics, just with different flavors or different details, is this: okay, my handwriting is hideous again, but this is not an exaggeration. At any given moment, every physics problem boils down to, given some point of mass at some point in space, in some point in time, where will we find that point of mass at such and such a time later? Like that's what physics always, or the flip of that, given some point of mass at some point of space here at some point of time, where was the mass X moments of time ago? Or even how long ago was the mass at this point in space? Like there's different flavors of that question, but the question always in physics is, where is something when? Or when is something going to be where? Or when was something where? Or where was something when? Okay, to take it one step further, I mean, or just to, again, the reason physics has ever gotten any attention as a science, the reason it ever gets any funding, whether it's in the 1500s or the 21st century, like by and large, what physics' strength has been is making predictions about where objects are going to be in the future, predictions that started with objects in outer space, but eventually led us to things like artillery, cannons, and outer space objects that helped guide the Navy. I mean, ultimately, where physics ever got any attention or funding, or why people would care about it that are not just purely curious, is that you can make predictions about where weapon or the result ammunition of weapons is going to be at certain times, like cannons and things like that. Like that's why people care about physics, or originally did. They also cared about it because of telescopes, but that was really so that the Navy could like fire cannons and stuff. Now, I'm not like particularly like a war-oriented thinker, but here's where then it catches up to John Jay. Physics, but fundamentally, physics as a science is always saying, can we predict where a cannonball is going to be at this time, or how far it will go if we aim the cannon this way, or whatever, or where will the moon be in 3 months, etc. But the flip side of physics, the same idea of predicting wheres and whens for things, is looking in the past and saying, oh, if there's a bullet in the body right here, right now, then the bullet must have come from a gun that was over there right then. And why am I bringing that up? Not because I'm trying to make this whole class about guns and yucko, things like that, but because, of course, here we are at John Jay in a forensic science department. The use of physics in modern contemporary forensic science is just the same exact idea that it's always been, except instead of trying to use physics to predict the future, we're using physics to retrodict, to explain or solve the puzzles of the past, the history. That's crime solving. Right? Either way, whether it's bullets going forward or car collisions that we're analyzing backwards or blood spatter that we're analyzing backwards, what physics is about is where is something when, okay? Just to put things in perspective. So we start by analyzing the terms of, so it's always about motion, but we first start by defining the terms of motion. So kinematics really is this study that we're in now, kinematics specifically is really laying down the terms and definitions of motions. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. Awesome. I was just noticed, but that, yes, we have, thank you, Daniel. Totally. Oh, sorry. That was probably, sorry. Thank you, anybody. We do have 5 minutes left. So let me turn it to, oh, and someone entered. Oh, what? No. Okay. We have 5 minutes left. That was just my little spiel to try to put in perspective, like why we're like, how we're going to get into these sheets, what these sheets have to do with, but so this is the material of physics. Oh, and ultimately, I guess I should also say, like, the material of physics is the science of motion. I still love that science. Oh, sorry. Good question. What is the word next to the? Oh, terms. Wait. If it's the first, so it says kinematics. The terms. Sorry, that's supposed to be. Yeah, that's hideous. The terms, definitions, and notations underlying motion along a single axis like that. So thank you for asking. Yeah, that's what this number line sheet, and that's what our context is now. We're going to learn about the like we're always talking about motion in physics, even through physics 204, through anything. It's always about motion. But right now we're going to start with defining the terms and the symbols, and therefore the mathematics of motion, specifically in one line. That's what the number line sheet is going to be like. That's what I know you guys just worked on it. I guess I'll even we have 3 minutes. Oh, but it's all motion along a line. I want to say before I forget, that's the material of physics. That's what we're going to focus on. Secretly, really in the back of my mind, like, why do I love it so much? Or why, like, what do I hope to get out of this class with you guys too? What physics really is about, though, is it's putting numbers to that. Like, we're studying space and time, but we're ultimately studying it in a precise, quantitative, predictive way, which ultimately means math, right? And specifically means learning how to problem solve. It means how to solve problems. What we're really here to learn in physics is a technique for knowing what to do when you don't know what to do. That's really our goal ultimately in this class. I just want to lay that down to you, like why we're all going to get good grades if we try hard, but we actually do have to try hard to get smarter. It's really a class in how to get smarter. I mean, that's what it always was for me, honestly. And I get smarter every time I teach it. And a lot of you start off a lot smarter than me, for real. But what it means to get smarter is to learn to know what to do when you don't know what to do. Specifically, that's really science research, right? Like eventually, so you're going to get problems just like today. I threw sheets at you without explaining anything about them. Hopefully the sheets explain themselves somewhat, but you just like had to do them. And next we're going to talk about them. But the idea is always that we're trying to do something new, trying to do something where there's not a clear algorithm yet. We're going to try to figure out that algorithm for the next time. And then just as we do, it'll be a new problem. Today, we have 1 minute, I'm going to say, just to give satisfaction on answers. I'm going to say some answers right now. For anybody who's just still listening to me and bearing with this, we have like 1 minute left, but you worked hard. So let me say, I'm going to just say some answers, even though I'm not even looking at the sheet. But I believe if you said that the total distance covered in the entire journey was 21 feet, I believe that's right. If you just added up all the things, got 21, you're correct. If you said that the total displacement, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. We're going to, but just if you want satisfaction, if you said the displacement for the entire thing, the professor went, the displacement was -9, you're correct. Like the displacement could have been a negative number and it was like -9. I might be going out of order too. I'm just babbling here for 1 minute, but your total distance was like 21 feet because you literally had to add, 6 and 6 and 9. And the displacement was 6 and -6 and -9. Just for anybody. And so the average speed for the whole thing was 21/8, I believe, because it was 8 seconds for the whole thing. And you can just leave it like that. You could say 21/8 feet per second or whatever, or you could call it 2.225 or whatever that is when you divide. Either way is fine. And for the, this is the last thing I'll say, the average velocity for the whole thing was negative 9/8 feet per second, or you could say negative 1.125. I'm just shouting out answers just to give you satisfaction if you worked hard on it, and so you can know you're not crazy. If you submitted it, you're going to get points, all that. We'll keep talking next. I know it's now, class is over. Could I just get like a goodbye or video or sound or anything to say that that this worked or that you heard me?
Hi, Professor.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Thank you.
Professor.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
And I'll post-
Bye
Professor.
bye.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I will post this. Awesome. Thank you. Bye. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you.